Well, summer is over, and so was my Thanksgiving hangover, and now it's time for something you haven't heard in a while. Let's rail. Well, hey, rail fans, welcome back to the hobby room, to the Brown Smith Railroad, and to my build that's been underway for a little while. I had to take some time off during the summer because it was just hotter than the place bad people go out here in the hobby room. But I did manage to get some things done, and I want to jump right into showing that to you now. First of all, you can see my backdrop that you saw me kind of screw to the wall has been painted. And real quick, let me take you through sort of the technique that I used. Truthfully, I've got a more detailed video. I'll put a link to it in the description on how I do this, but so we can just kind of get caught up, I'll just take you through it really quickly. First thing I did, like I always do, is I took some drywall tape and I taped over the seams. Then I took some drywall mud, covered that, let it dry, sanded it, and then put another coat on it and sanded that to get a nice smooth finish. One thing I did differently this time than you've seen me do in the past is actually put up a drop cloth up here that hung down to keep all that drywall dust from getting out on my wife, Cindy Brown's car. She is the first lady model railroading. We don't want to piss her off too much, okay? So after all that, I just took and I rolled on some sky blue paint, and it came out awesome. I put the curved edges in so you don't see that hard edge in there, just sort of blends around. And I got loops at either end anyway, so it kind of worked out okay. One thing that I had not anticipated that I will show you now, so keep in mind if you live in Southern California, and that is earthquakes. Yep, we had like 6 earthquakes in 4 days around here. We were just shake, rattle, and rolling, baby. The only casualty was my backdrop. Let me take you in closer right here. You can see right here, see this crack? Right here, these cracks? Those weren't there before. It was beautiful. So I got a couple choices here. I can go through and I can retape and mud and sand it with all my track down, or I can come up with something new in the future. I think I might try to camouflage that with like a printout backdrop or something like that. We'll see how that goes in the future. So that's one thing I got done. And then, of course, we laid all the track. Like you did with the backdrop, I won't go into great detail on how I laid my track. Okay, I'll put a link in the description for a more detailed video, but I pretty much used the same technique I always use just to, if you'll pardon me, to get it over with, okay? Backdrops, track laying, wiring, not my favorite part of model railroading. There's no modeling involved. But without those things, you don't get the choo-choo, and I want the choo-choo, okay? So real quick, but I basically marked out where I wanted my track. I used some Gorilla construction adhesive, smoothed that down, put the cork road bed down, and then did the same thing and put the track on there. So again, not rocket science. If you're into model railroading, you've done this before. If you want more information on how I do it, link in the description once again. But once I have my track laid, the next thing to do was put in my automated turnouts. I've got 2 automated turnouts on the layout. One's up here and one's right here. Because here's the deal. This is built to be a switching railroad. I'm going to switch cars back and forth until my eyeballs pop out, right? But I get friends, family, something over. I want to just run the trains. So up here on the mezzanine, I've got a reversing loop. Down here under the mountain, I've got another reversing loop. And as we move forward, I'll tell you how that's going to play in operations. But for right now, I'm using these tortoise slow motion switch motors that connect to a Digitrax DX64 or DS64, excuse me. And then I use a BD4 block detector to detect where the trains are. When the train hits here, or hits here, or here, or here, it automatically switches the turnout. Once again, I have another video I'll put a link to for an old sidetrack episode I did that tells you how to wire that and how that works. And it has so far worked flawlessly. I run my little choo-choo around there, and you don't even know the difference. But the problem I had was with my auto reversers, my voltage reversers. Let me tell you about that. Historically, when it comes to an auto reverser to switch the polarity of the track, I've always leaned towards the Digitrax AR1, and probably many of you have done that too if you need to do that. So I bought 2 of those. I put them in. I'll show you in just a second. And then I was running my trains, but I had 2 problems. One is when the headlight, when the voltage switched, I could see a flicker in the headlight. Not the end of the world, not something I was thrilled with. In the tunnel, it didn't matter, I couldn't see, but up here I could see it. I didn't like it, but I was willing to live with it. I ran my train in a loop for maybe 100 laps, maybe more than that. It was running for a few hours out here. And I came back out and looked, and it was shorted out. Right where the auto reverser is, it was shorted out. And I'm like, well, that sucks. So I just reset the railroad and just ran it again, and it happened again. And then as it got warmer out here, it happened again and again and again. It would short out. Randomly, it would just short out. So blah, blah, blah. Here's what I did. I talked to my friend, our friend, Will Kling, who is one of our oldest surviving subscribers. And I'll talk more about him in a minute with some of the stuff he provided for the railroad. But we discussed other options, and what I found was an NCE AR10 auto reverser. Now, let me show that to you real quick. You can see in this shot right here that mounted to the layout, I've got the Digitrax AR1s. And because I glued them down, I don't feel like pulling them off. Then dangling in front of that, I've got the NCE AR10s. And see with the AR10, there's dip switches to set how they respond. You can control them from your cab if you want to. And for me, the beauty of it is I have run, I'm not exaggerating, maybe 500 or 600 laps around here over a long period of time. It's never failed once. Also, when it switches voltage, it happens so quick, I don't see a flicker in the headlight. So real quick, back on the, I've got a video, I'll put another link to down there on how to wire up an auto reverser. But one more thing on Digitrax, okay? They make great stuff. I use their, like I said, DS64 and their BD4. And that's cool, but there's 2 things they need to work on, man. And I'm sorry, Digitrax brothers, but one is your auto reversers. I've gotten comments from subscribers that share my sentiment about them. They work intermittently. You can't adjust them enough so they don't trip. They're kind of a pain in the ass, if you'll forgive my Spanish. The other thing that I'm not thrilled about with Digitrax, and I have another link to a video I'll show you, they're decoders. They run well, except when you have a grade. And I proved that in another video. So my first locomotive that I got from my friend Will Kling, he gave me a Bachmann that had a Digitrax decoder in it. And he weathered it. And I mean, look at this. This is just, I love this little locomotive. It's even got my logo on it, okay? But when I was trying to pull cars up the hill, it would slow down going up and turn into a toboggan race coming down. I don't like that. None of that works for me. So what I did is I bought another locomotive that had a TCS decoder in it, train control system. Swapped the shells, and the TCS one is the one I run up the hill smoothly, just fine, no concerns. The Bachmann is the one I run down here for switching out stuff that I'll show you later. So, you know, that's kind of it for what we've got for this video. I ordered some scale lumber to build my bridges, and or at least the back one for starters. I've done some research on how I want that to look. I got to take this big mess of wiring back here. Look at this. It's like, does a rat live here? Does my ex-wife live here? I don't know. Sorry, ex-wife. I'm going to mount all that way back here. I bought a new power supply, some switches and stuff like that. So without boring you any further with just the way this layout is, I want to thank you again for hanging out with me, for sticking with me, and understand that over the next few weeks to the holidays, I'll be working on my bridge. I'll show you that. And then one final, you know what the hell? We're all standing here, right? One final thought is this was kind of closed for business during summer, right? The garage door still opens. We have this back garage door cracked a little bit to get ventilation through here to keep it cool. All that did was introduce so much dust and black black stuff that's on top of my my rails. And before I get too far along, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build some doors that will fold down and lock in place to keep this as clean as I can, because I don't know if I'll be out here every day or once a month or whatever. I just want to make sure it stays clean. So there you go. Boom, boom, boom. There's 3 booms for you if you're still counting those. Again, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. And until I see you again, my name is Steve Brown, and rail on, my friends.